Have you ever gone through a period of your life where you just shut down your intuition? Or maybe you did it and you didn't even realize you've done it? Or maybe you've gone through situations where you shut down your intuition, or it just sort of shuts down on its own. And if you've never thought about it, today in this video, I'm going to examine why do we shut down our intuition and what can we do to reawaken it, and how can I help? I'm Dr. Meg Haworth, and I'm a transpersonal psychologist and a holistic nutritional chef. I'm the best-selling author of Get Well Now, Healing Yourself with Food and the Power of the Mind. And I help women survivors of abuse heal the connection between illness and abuse and how the body is holding that experience. And I also certify coaches, therapists, healers, and practitioners in my whole person integration technique, that emotional release technique, and helping them also to evolve their intuitive abilities with my online course, Evolving Intuition, Building Self-Trust for Life. Well, enough about me. So this conversation really came out of a discussion that I had with my students in my coaching program, where I give live coaching every week to my students who are in a lifetime access program to help them evolve their intuition, heal empathic overload. This is really important because it helps you to get well and stay well, because empathy overload can really make you sick. It's exactly what happened to me and why I do what I do today. So why do we shut down our intuition? And so we were just discussing that we were all noticing that in childhood, and I know I did this myself, that I shut down my intuition at one point because I felt like I didn't know what to do with it. It's like it wasn't helping me, although it would have helped me. But one of the primary reasons we shut it down is because we don't feel safe or supported to use it, to access it. A lot of times our elders, our parents, anybody who's caring for us shuts down our intuitive abilities. You know, if you're having these mystical, intuitive experiences, if you're having psychic experiences where you're seeing things they don't see, you know things without, that you couldn't possibly have known, and you're literally scaring your parents, you're scaring the people around you because they're not connected with this part of themselves, then why would you want to be connected to that part of yourself? You may shut it down because you're not getting any support for that. Now, for you parents that are supportive of your children and their intuitive abilities and their mystical experiences, thank you for doing that, because you're going to help them with really the most important part of the self is your intuitive nature, that I came to learn about the hard way, and illness was one of the great teachers that helped me get there. So that's one of the reasons that we will shut down our intuitive abilities. And fear is another reason that we shut down our intuitive abilities, because if you're raised in a situation where there's a lot of fear in the home, there's a lot of intimidation, there's authoritarian kind of upbringing, and so fear is often overriding love because it's actually being given a lot more attention than love is being given attention to. So it's very confusing to the child who is feeling that. And so you may shut down your intuition because it's almost like you have no use for it, because intuition connects you directly with love, with grace, with kindness, with caring, with all of these wonderful qualities that we all have and that we all possess. But we can feel completely cut off from that if our experience is showing us something opposite to that, if we're always waiting for the next awful thing to happen in our lives. And of course, an awful thing to you may be completely different as an awful thing to a sibling that you're growing up with. If you are sensitive and you are empathic and you're intuitive, you're going to experience sensory everything, sensory overload. You're going to experience the five senses and the extra senses all at once. And they're going to be more impactful for you than they are going to be for the people in your family system. And so it's very important for you to take care of yourself. It's very important to evolve your intuitive abilities, so that you can heal your empathy overload, because that's really a lot of what you're doing, is you're just siphoning in the emotions of other people around you. So when fear is a bigger thing than love, you may shut down your intuition. Intuition is directly connected to love, love force, life force. And learning to love yourself is really learning to embrace your intuition, and embrace that part of yourself that really is the most powerful guiding force that you have available to you. So you may shut it down because you're in fear. Now, releasing the fear that piles up in your energy system and the beliefs associated with it. So for instance, you grow up in this household where you're told you're not, or you're shown repeatedly that you can't ever get it right. So you grow up with this belief that I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm never going to be able to get it right. Like, that's a never belief. I'm never going to be able to get this right. I'm never going to be able to do that. And maybe you're holding that in your stomach. You're holding that belief there, and it's getting a lot of energy from the fear that's being given, that's just going on all around you. And that constant fear of what's going to happen next. And so you're holding that energy of fear and the belief in your stomach, and now you've got ulcers, or you've got stomach issues, digestive issues are things that I see a lot in highly sensitive people, because that's also energetically, from the energy system, that is your center of personal power. And so you're going to feel drained from this part of the body, and the more that energy is drained, that emotional energy, because emotions have big charge, and these negative emotions have really big charge. And the more that energy gets drained, eventually the biology also gets drained. And again, I've seen this in my own body, and I've seen it for 27 years as I've worked with hundreds, thousands of people over this time frame. So when abuse is a constant threat, it puts you in a hypervigilant state, which does not allow you to access your intuition. And so it can literally block the very thing that will help you the most. You may sometimes, though, get, in really tense situations, you may sometimes get like a message that just comes through, like duck, move, don't, or you may physically feel yourself being moved, and it's like you're being moved by your intuitive, to be able to get through the experience. So it's always there for you, and that's something that's kind of hard to get, but it's always there for you. Another thing about intuition, and why we might shut it down at any point during our lives, of course, support, fear, abuse, those things. But society sees you as crazy. So traditional psychotherapeutic models may say, well, if you're having all of these experiences where you're hallucinating, and you may be hallucinating, that does happen when you are overly traumatized, but you may also just have this ability, and you're seeing things that they say are not here because it doesn't fit into the five sensory world, but you're seeing them, you're feeling them, you're experiencing them, and you're not getting supported for that. So they basically will tell you you're crazy, and they may say eventually that you have schizophrenia, and you may. I mean, this is like a really dicey area. But if society is seeing some powerful ability that we have as crazy, as nutty, as wrong, as bad, then why would you want to do that? You would shut it down. I know I personally did that. I didn't want people to know. I mean, as long as my parents thought that I was in play, like I was playing, that I was seeing the things that I was seeing, or that I was just interested in the mystical realms, or that it was imagination, then it was okay. But as soon as that imagination or that intuition became a real thing, then it wasn't okay. So there was, again, it's dicey, and so it's sort of teasing out all of these pieces and parts of why you shut down your intuition. It's really personal to you, and how you may be seeing the role of intuition in your life. And I think another reason is most people don't even know what intuition really is. And the science behind it, because there is an art and a science behind it, and that's part of what I teach my students in my Evolving Intuition Building Self-Trust for Life course. And if you are interested in signing up for that or just learning about that, you can go to my website at meghaworth.com. But if you want to talk to me about that, I interview everybody before they get into the course. I only take a very limited number of people a month. 5 people a month is all that I will take into this course, because I want it to be very intimate so that you can work with each other. You can develop your intuition together. Again, it's called Evolving Intuition Building Self-Trust for Life. And if you want to apply, the links are below, and you can book a time to speak with me about the course to see if it might be a good fit for you, see if it might work for you. I also do one-on-one work with my clients as well, and you can book a free call with me to talk about how I might be able to help you with emotional release therapy if you're holding abuse in your energy field. You're holding it in your body, and maybe you're sick because of it. I've been there, and I help people with that. I also help them with the nutrition and cooking, and what can I eat when I'm trying to support my body to heal itself, especially when you're highly sensitive, highly intuitive, and highly empathic. You tend to be also sensitive to foods, and you're sensitive to toxins, and that's really, I think, ultimately the problem is you're not really sensitive to the foods. You're sensitive to the toxins in the foods, because they put so much poison now in a lot of the food supply. And so I help you understand what's what there as well, because I have very extensive background in understanding those pieces and parts of what can contribute to illness in the body. So I wanted to give you something that you can do right now to help you with your awakening your intuition. If you feel like you've shut it down and you feel like you want to reawaken this part of yourself, you want to connect with this part of yourself, or if you have your intuition gone wild, you seem like it's out of control and it's actually feels more harmful than helpful, because you're receiving all this information all the time and you don't know how to hone your intuition. That's another thing I help people with, because this was my problem. It was just all over the place from a near-death experience as a child, so I help people with that as well. But here's something that you can do to help reawaken and reconnect with your intuition. First thing is, I want you to start to notice. I want you to first ask for coincidences to occur in your life. So what most people refer to as a coincidence, they kind of write it off as, well, that it's just a fluke. It's just something that happened. But synchronicity and coincidence it's one of the primary ways that intuition is speaking to you all the time. There's always signs, there's always symbols, there's always things going on around you, that when you start to pay attention to the mystical in your everyday experience, the messages that come to you. So, for instance, a synchronicity, you can just say, I want synchronicities, I want coincidences to occur in my life, and I'm asking to see those things. Just say it out loud, say it in your own mind, whatever works, write it down. That's a great way to bring coincidence and synchronicity into your life. And so now you ask for those synchronicities, and they start to come, and you start to notice things you're thinking about, and then all of a sudden you see a billboard that has a message on it that is like, wow, that's exactly what I was thinking about. Or something that you want to work through in your life, suddenly 3 or 4 people start mentioning, oh, did you read this book? And then you're like, oh, wow, so 3 times I've heard that, let's go read the book. You keep seeing the same person out in the world. Maybe you want to stop and introduce yourself to that person and just say, hey, I see you around a lot. I'm so-and-so, and just introduce yourself and see if there are any synchronicities that come from that meeting. So just start to notice the coincidences and those synchronistic moments that are happening around you. And this is a great way to reawaken and connect with your intuition, because I guarantee you it's talking to you all the time. It always has something to tell you and share with you and to help you in your healing and in your life and in your life direction. So if any of this stuff resonates with you, if you have any questions, any comments, please put them in the comments below. If you want to book a free call with me, please do that. And if you want to sign up for my program or just learn more about it, please do that. And you can check out everything at meghaworth.com. And I thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it's helped you. You can add into the comments below if there's anything that you want me to cover in another video, or anything that you would have put into this video that you feel like would be important for other people in this conversation of why did I shut down my intuition. All right, so thank you so much for listening. I am Dr. Meg Haworth, and I hope that this information will help you.